Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Co-host, how's your week been?
Fantastic.
It wouldn't be an episode of Real Talk if your week wasn't fantastic.
Fantastic.
Let's jump straight into this topic. I know you don't care for the small talk, so let's just get straight into it. I want to talk about kind of an impromptu today. Didn't really give you any information today.
Nothing.
You know.
But it's all good.
It's good. It's kind of payback for live discussions.
Thy word ever hit in my heart that I might not sin against thee.
Yeah, well, let's see how
I'm
you
ready.
hide your heart with this subject matter. I want to talk about social media today.
Oh.
I want to talk.
The devil's work. It's the devil's work.
I'm loving that response already because
It's the devil's work.
I remember when we was talking about a decline in Christianity. I don't even know if it was mentioned last time because remember we had to do it twice. But anyways, before you had referenced a huge impact of things, a huge component, whether or not more witnessing is going out, more things are happening. We were talking about the impact of social media, how we never took into the mindset of how quickly we can get stats, how quickly we can identify things. So maybe in the 80s or 90s or whatever, it could have seemed like, oh, everybody I talked to was this Christian. But now that we're able to gather more information quickly like this, we're able to see things in a different light. So anyways, before I ask you my question, I just want to read the definition of social media that we work off of, as if we don't know what it is. Social media are websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. Okay? Websites, apps that enable users to create and share content to participate in social networking.
And the last paragraph to that says, and to push the devil's work.
Pastor Steve.
It's in there.
This is great to have this topic because you've been pastoring for how many years?
28 years.
28 years. So you haven't seen social media is probably 10 years new to you? 10 years of your last. So you probably did about 18 years. When did social media?
The World Wide Web started when I was pastoring before the World Wide Web.
Yes, but the terminology that we're using about social media,
like TikTok, Facebook. Facebook started when? 2002?
No, I was in high school, I think, when I started. So maybe 05 or 6, something around there.
All right. Well, you can Google that. I mean, that's fact
you can probably look it up.
But it's 2000s, let's just say, right?
But when it got really known and popular, because remember, older people wasn't really on Facebook until later.
So I think it popped off when they bought TikTok. So Facebook, or not TikTok, I'm sorry, Instagram.
Yeah.
So Facebook was good, and Instagram was getting, momentum.
You got Twitter for your celebrities.
Right. And so then Facebook bought Instagram, and then it just went nuts because then you were able to start producing TikToks and Reels, and now it's just like an algorithm of sin.
So let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on it? If somebody says, how does social media and ministry, when you hear those two words together, even though this is not really two words, but we're going to make social media be one word. When you hear social media and ministry together, what does your mind think about hearing those thoughts?
Yeah. So the things I was saying earlier about devil's work and algorithm of sin, I'm kidding to a degree. But to answer your question, I'm now going to get very serious. Every good thing that man creates, man pollutes.
Okay. Give an example of something that's a good thing.
Yep.
That was created.
So let's just say knives.
Okay.
Right? It was. What I'm getting at is this.
Laws.
No, let's not get into that. That's going to be much more philosophically, take us into a whole nother subject matter. But I'm just using a simple term like a knife, okay?
Okay.
Something that I could hunt with when the Neanderthal man existed.
Right.
I don't believe that. I'm just saying that process of evolution. Anyways, if I were to use a spear to hunt, okay, if I was to use a knife to cut and to clean the animal that I just captured, and I want to take care of my family, and I want to whatever, all that is good, right?
Right.
But now I also can use it for harm.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, to protect myself is one thing, but to use it to actually be malicious is something different.
Okay.
So let's fast forward to where we are today with this conversation.
Gotcha.
Social media is great. The use of connecting to somebody instantaneously on the other side of the world is amazing. It's amazing. Using that for the good can be very helpful. It helps to produce or increase productivity, communication, responses, answers, coming up with solutions, fixing things, making commitments and contracts and so on. It's just like that, rather than wait for snail mail to reach a place and then snail mail to respond, could take weeks or whatever. So being able to make those kind of quick decisions like that, I think is great, and it helps to advance a lot of good causes. Unfortunately, any of the technology that we use to advance ourselves, we also have used it to pervert ourselves, to corrupt ourselves, to find more devious ways of covering evil and manipulate. So when it comes to social media, I think churches could use it for a great opportunity to evangelize or to share the message of Jesus Christ or to share a message of discipleship. Unfortunately, which I'm sure you're going to probably get into it, so just let me say this and I'll give it back to you, is that churches are now falling prey to the psyche of more numbers, more likes. I got to get people to follow me. Now I'm feeling like I'm insecure because I don't have enough followers. Maybe I'm not doing this right. And now I got to start doing little things that people are doing on social media to try to get more people to follow them. I'm not against having more followers. You got to pay attention to why you do what you do and understand what is making you change certain things or try to do certain things or try certain things just for likes or just for followers on your feed. You have to ask yourself these things, because then your scheme could be more about marketing rather than actually edifying a soul.
Great explanation. I want to ask you another question now, based upon some of the things that I've heard. You addressed how social media allows us to be able to be more productive, right? We don't have to wait on things, sending mail, waiting for a response back, being able to interact right then and there, get to physically see somebody, hear their words themselves versus having to read a tone or try to decipher what they really mean and how they're saying it.
Yeah.
In your opinion, and I want to give my statement afterwards just because of our different age bracket. Have you been seeing, in your experience of social media, have you been seeing it sway more towards being productive for kingdom work, or have you seen it be used more as a tool to enhance things that may not necessarily be sinful, but isn't really advancing the kingdom? So, and I ask you in your opinion because I'm going somewhere that we can get somewhere.
My opinion would be that what I've noticed over periods of time, that we're socio-emotional creatures, yes?
Yes.
And because we're socio-emotional creatures, there are things that entertain our psyche that we have to be very careful. What are we using to energize our psyche or to motivate our psyche? I want to have personal connections with people, okay? But if I'm trying to have personal connections with people so I could learn them to manipulate them, that's a problem, right?
Right.
But if I'm trying to get personally connected with people because I really value how God has created every human being. Now, people may not do things that I like or appreciate, or they might not believe the way I believe, but I find humanity amazing. And I want to have a personal connection with people because I want to see the best for them. I want to see them to develop and experience life the way God intended for man to experience life. So I'm getting somewhere with the question. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, because we are social emotional creatures and we seem to need something to entertain our psyche and make us feel good, instead of using the platform now to produce good, we're looking for validation. We're looking for some emotional high or something that makes me feel good. So we want people to click, right? Like people are dope fiends for the click. What do I mean by the click? The like, how many likes you get, how many hearts you get, how many thumbs up you get, how many smiles you get, how many cuddles you get, how many, all of that stuff. It's like, yo, like, why are you on Facebook? I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind you liking a picture and so on. I'm asking you, though, to be honest with yourself. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're saying you're doing it for the kingdom business, don't worry about if you get likes or not. Don't worry about it. I have watched where pictures get many, many likes. You'll get many, many likes because a picture can be defined in your own terms.
Gotcha.
When you put a message out there and you define clearly what you're saying and reference what you actually mean with what you're saying, that's a totally different. Nobody's going to like that because now you're forcing them to agree with a standard that you want to commit to. A lot of people don't want to commit to that because they're like, yeah, I don't see it that way. So yeah, that was nice. I still love you, brother, but you scroll up, right?
Right.
You ain't going to get people to like a sound message or a sound statement that makes you have to think about your heart and where you are and what you're doing with yourself and so on. I might say motivational things and people like it, but if I challenge you to think critically about where you stand in life, where you stand on a social issue that's going on currently, people will back off. They'll just keep They'll just keep going by.
Yeah.
They'll just keep going by. So your question is, have you seen it
do more productivity for the kingdom?
I don't see that. I'm not saying people are not out there doing good work for the kingdom, but I don't see it being used ultimately for the kingdom, for those that are Christians, believers.
Okay.
It's become more of like an entertainment.
Right. Okay. And so you say that, being funny but not being funny based on your age perspective. For me, in my mindset, I think that I tend to agree, but I'm going to try to stay as neutral as possible. I think what social media does is allow us to expose ourselves rather good or bad. And what I mean by that is I may have not have known something about your personality type or how you were, but now because it's on social media, now I know these things. So in a sense, what it allows me to be able to see and know, like you said, how much am I being influenced by algorithms? How much am I being influenced by the fact that, a lot of these people like this, or am I thinking about if I actually like this comment or like this video, who's actually going to be on social media, who sees that? What are we doing? And I think a lot of people are going with fads. I think they're doing, like you said, if we had to base it, and it's our opinion, and somebody could have a different opinion there, though. For me, I challenge how much of it are we really trying to get people to see not only say the severity, but how much are we getting people to understand and know they need a savior? This is what the savior has done in my life. These are why I honor certain things. Like for me, if I'm going to post something about my family, right? It doesn't mean that I want you to like those pictures, but there's something from there. For me, it's like, yeah, he's a family person. Mm-hmm. What's driving him about family? What's there's always for me an intent about what's going on. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so just putting my statement out there that I think that social media just really exposes who you are.
whether good or bad.
whether good or bad.
Whether if you intended to come out bad or good,
It's just going to expose.
Yeah.
And like I said, sometimes, expose.
It could be perception also, though. You have to be careful about
Yes,
what
yes,
too.
too.
I could be putting out the most sincere whatever.
Yes.
But somebody else could perceive it as, look at this dude.
He's just
think
being arrogant
Yeah,
and
exactly. You
cocky.
think he all that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and that unfortunately is you're exposed to that, and you have to accept that. What bothers me?
Make sure, because you're on social media.
What bothers me is people who get all offended when somebody chin checks them on their stat. It's like, get off social media. If you don't want to get chin checked, don't go on Facebook. Don't go on Instagram. Don't go on Twitter. You thought you were going to be, like, I'm going to say something great today. And I put something out there and you try to say something about Mother Earth, or you say something about, something socially, whatever. Trying to be real careful.
Yes.
And then somebody just having a bad day goes through it. They're grumpy and they just decide, man, that's some dumb stuff you done put up. What do you mean? Do you not know when they start rattling off facts that chin check you? Why you gotta be so negative? Really? Like, just deal with it. Like, if they chin check you with facts, then next time make sure you know what you're talking about when you put it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Make sure you can handle that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's the problem. What I mean by perception is like you want to do something good and you're trying to say something good, but somebody wants to be negative, and bam. Example. Well, I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
please.
that.
I have something I want to say,
Go
and
ahead,
then
go
we
ahead.
can jump back into that point. I also think, for me, that social media has allowed us to be, and I can look up this statistic. I don't think this is an opinion, but it's allowed us to be antisocial. And what I mean by that is,
define antisocial.
having the interaction with people physically.
Oh, okay.
That antisocial, because it's
I was
still
looking at it a different
social.
way, but I
It's
get
still
it.
social networking if I'm utilizing these things. But we have allowed ourselves to be antisocial physically, in the sense that, like, I've looked at there's like this ad that this person is talking about how, like, they grew a church on Facebook. They're like, here, let me show you how our numbers have grown. This, and it's a social media like church, right? Once again, not having anything against or saying
He
that.
can be neutral. I'm gonna say it. That's trash.
So
Building a church on social media, like what? Like, come on now.
I think it will be good as an extension of something.
Yes.
But as your basis,
Or a podcast. Just call it a podcast.
Yeah,
I got followers that listen to my podcast, but they call it a church.
Yeah. So, and I've been seeing that more and more. I think live streams are great for churches. I think it allows people to see information. Once again, though, it also resonates in our minds. Well, why do I have to show up to church, Pastor Steve, if I can watch you?
I can answer that, but this is not the time for that.
On
I can
live,
answer it.
as long as I'm taking the information and then applying it back home.
Yeah.
So all these things, just me, in my perspective of looking at this, social media has allowed us to not want to have to or need to engage people. Once I have enough of my followers, also with the whole anti-social, like physically, it also has allowed me to not want to engage better. And here's why. Because social media has allowed, which doesn't happen in society, but it's allowed on social media, I can block you. So all that chin checking stuff, block, you're negative.
And see, that's even corny too. Blocking people, like.
But listen, there are some trolls out there. But listen, here's the point, though. These things, though, now dictate and it's going on in our minds of how we teach our kids, and then how we talk to other people and pass this on. So now, if we don't want to engage people physically, we rather just do Zoom calls. We rather just do all these things, which are productive.
They can be productive.
Yes, they can be productive, and to have alternatives are great. To not always have to meet somebody physically is great, But when we're now, like, you utilize it so much to the point you're just like, I don't have to go to church, or I don't have to, we can do a Zoom, or I don't have to, engage with you anymore. I don't like what you're saying. Block. I don't like what you're doing. Like, so for me, in my mind, these are things I'm thinking, is this really helping ministry? If you're a believer and you're blocking a bunch of people who are engaged, who for sure are genuine people who are asking questions, not people who are just belligerent, profanity, vulgar, things like that. we understand like you have the right to do that. But what I'm saying is people asking factual things, asking you about verses, asking why do you believe in God? Why these are things meant to engage, but social media, it seems, has caused us to do the opposite. In my perspective,
In your perspective, rather than engage, you'd rather just deflect or go, like you say, block
to
or
utilize that as an evangelism tactic or a method. But in saying all that, sir, if you don't have anything to add on that piece of blocking and antisocial,
I thought you were going to go in the direction of antisocial in the sense of anti dialoguing. Like
yeah,
when I say anti dialoguing, I mean be committed to a conversation that could be challenging and be committed to engage the individual, which I think we're probably saying the same thing in a sense.
we are in a different way. But go ahead.
But I'm just saying, as far as like, being able to have a personality that can understand that other people have their opinions also. And I have to, if I'm going to grow, if my personality is going to grow, if my character is going to grow, I have to be willing to engage those different ideas and perspectives and so on. Not for me to agree with them, but for me to become more social and involved and interactive to realize, listen, that's still a human being. Like there's still a lot of good things about that person that I can appreciate. All because they don't want to believe in God. I know a lot of people who do not believe in God, but they still are very nice people. They still do nice things. I've never been able to have a deep dialogue to find out why they don't want to believe in God or their perspective of God is so just really crazy how they think about some things. But I still like being around a person. I like to engage the person. I would like to, find out more about them outside of their philosophy of God. Just, what they like to do. Like their experiences, they might be able to share with me, and I'll be like, wow, that's interesting. And learn from that. By you just being able to do that, makes you more sociable, makes you more interactive. And people need to be able to have that engagement. That's what we're called to be. We're called to be engaging.
Last question.
Did you get that?
We're called to be engaging.
Did you get that,
we are
Jack?
meant to dialogue. We are not meant to push people away because they differ from us. We are meant to engage them in their differences. We're meant to see these opportunities as a Mars Hill. I understand and process what you believe in. You reference things to the unknown God. Here's where you stand. Here's where we stand. Let's engage. So I'm there. So my last question and that I want you to bridge of a thought is, okay, what if we have somebody here who's like, you know what, from the things that you're saying, maybe I want to look at, what I'm doing with my social media page. What am I doing with ministry? We know that there's not bullet points of follow all these things and you did these things correct. But what would you tell somebody who's a believer of just some good positive things that they can be reflecting God and reflecting people to think about the kingdom of God on their social media page? What would be some things that you would tell them to look for or to be conscientious of?
Wait, say that again?
So if a person who's looking at this is like,
watching something like this right now,
they're like, maybe on my social media page, I don't see myself. Remember we asked the question about, do you see it being utilized more for upholding the kingdom of God or more for like, I'm just doing this. This is just more entertainment. This is more whatever. And they're like, all right, well, I want to be more engaged. I want to be more. What would you say to them on some methods or just some things? Like I said, it won't be ... This is right. But what would you say to them about making sure that they're conscientious of before they post or before they tweet? Or what are some things that you would think about stating?
I don't know if you wanted to ask me that question because sometimes I could care less what I'm about to say. I just need to share this thought and just put it out there because I feel like it's necessary for people to consider this. I know everybody that reads my posts believe what I say, and I'm comfortable with that. I think I'm going to answer the question this way. I'm going to answer.
Make sure we're also going about pictures and all those things.
I'm going to answer this. You have to be comfortable enough within yourself to know that what you're doing, I'm talking about Christians now. Mm-hmm. There's a good reason behind what you're doing. And in your intentions, you're understanding your intentions. my intentions. If you're honest with yourself. Now, I'm not talking about people who want to, put facades up and they've been lying to themselves for so long. I'm talking about people who really take a second to think about themselves and think about their intentions. And if they're comfortable with that, then move forward and put something on your Facebook page or your Instagram page or your Twitter. Respond to somebody else. Tweet something back that might be a little uncomfortable for somebody to think about. But it's simply because here's where I stand. I want to share where I stand. But also at the same time, as I said earlier in the podcast, be prepared for people to kick back. And if they kick back, don't get all worked up. Just be like, okay, now let me sit back and listen to what they're saying to me. Let me think about how they just processed what I started by what I started in my original post, right? And then take time to reflect on their response instead of getting emotional about it. Be like, okay, that doesn't change who I am. I'm going to respond back to this now. I'm going to say a little bit of this or ask a question. I'm going to ask a question on the response. So my to answer your question is, I always want to make sure that people, as a believer, you're comfortable within yourself to stand up for what you believe in and what you stand for and what you say. Now, if somebody's just wanting to be playful and foolish and, they thought I have to be mindful sometimes. I want to say something funny about my wife and I, but I also have to be careful about how would somebody perceive my wife in that statement, right? I want to be careful. I don't want them to misunderstand her. So I refrain from that. But then there are other things I do put on Facebook, my marriage chronicles that I put out there sometimes, that my wife and I both agree are funny and they're playful. Many of our friends know that we're a Christian couple and I'm a pastor. And so I want people to understand that our marriage, this is what our marriage looks like. Like, we have fun, we talk, we laugh, we giggle, we make fun of each other. I'm probably always trying to make fun of my wife more a little bit on Facebook than my wife is, but her and I have this kind of relationship. But there's times when I want to say something I think is funny, but I have to remember somebody reading that might perceive my wife as being something different. And so I don't want to leave that impression for somebody to think about her in a different way.
So let me just hear this. You would kind of you've already stated to if something is good, if something is helpful for society,
and your
intentions are good.
You do know your intentions. Like, you really are honest with yourself.
But also, not to be strict or legalistic about it, but we should be careful about our liberties in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say I went to I don't, but let's say I go to the club, right? And I take a picture, on there, right? But then I post, versus, the next couple of days, like you said, I could be comfortable in the fact of knowing that me going to the club is not going to, well, depending, but it may not, it's not going to do anything to me. Whereas somebody else may be looking at like, man, I was looking at some of his verses before. Now I'm not rocking with him anymore. I'm not
be aware of that, right?
So you have to be aware of those.
And catch the backlash on that, somebody like.
And is it really worth the argument of it rather than what is it that you're going to seek and get more out of?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to really measure that. It's not really about don't put this up, don't put that up. It's like, what's gonna, like you said, what is the reason for your whole page in the first place?
Yeah.
And then are you going to spend more time defending, I got a picture of me up in the club, so I'm a Christian, how you going to tell me I'm not, versus, shoot, I can get more people reading my verses if I didn't post this picture? All right, maybe I shouldn't just post this picture, even though I know I'm good.
Right. I agree. No, I think those are, we would call those house rules. Like, there should be some, as a Christian, you should have some house rules about your social etiquette, like how you manage yourself on Facebook. Again, it could be a good thing, or Twitter or whatever social platform you're using. But there's certain things you want to be careful of. You want to take into consideration. Like I said, when I post things about my wife and I, or my family and I want to make sure that I'm not leaving room for a misunderstanding based on me saying something or the way I post the picture or whatever. Even though in my mind, in my wife's mind, we're playful, we're laughing about something, but somebody else may perceive it as, and I'm not standing back being like I'm over analyzing everything either. I'm not I'm just being cognizant of the fact that, okay, if I were to tell somebody what I said to my wife and the tone I said it, somebody that watches me like, he disrespects his wife. Oh, he must be a misogynist. So I have to be like, you know what? Okay, my wife would have laughed, but I'm not gonna do it because other people may misunderstand. And my wife has always been very helpful with those things about me because I'm a very passionate, aggressive person. Even with just how I respond to people in real time, like she'll see my face, she'll know I want to go in, and she'll be like, well, maybe you should think about this, that, and the other, and I'll be like, word, you're right. I don't want to, but it was good that you said that to me to make me think, because I probably would have made a whole big mess out of something I would have said or did. So, but yeah, social media you have to be mindful of, be careful of. Let me just say this real quick. I won't say it. Never mind.
This
Sorry.
My closing thoughts are this. I don't think
closing thoughts. The man's giving his defense.
No, I think it could be used for, as you said. I like the way that you put it. Anything that's man-made that could have had a good intent can always be polluted and corrupt, and that shouldn't be the reason why we say I'm not getting on Facebook. It's this, or I'm not getting on that because of that. Find the good that it's gonna do and get off. Like me personally, I don't scroll through. And I'm not saying this because I'm on live, but outside of something that I'll post, I'll look to see what you post because I want to be motivated and I want to be challenged. And I'm like, you're gonna give me something that's gonna challenge me. Outside of that, I get off. And there's no knock to anybody, but that's just me and who I am. I want to be challenged. I want to be like, oh, you bugging to have this thought process. Look at like what God is raising you to, and you're like, I like to see that. So after that, I get off. So I find the good in that piece of like the bad things or the things that I probably would be like, oh, this is wretched, this is reckless. Like I don't got time to deal with that. I post, I get off. I put my verse, I get off. Like I said, I do search to see what you're saying. You keep putting "what's on your mind?" ? And then but anyways, back to the matter.
Think about it though. That's what they're asking. What's on your mind?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you what's on my mind. I use I used to do different things. That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. That's my.
Hey man, I check you out. I'm looking at it, but
what's on my mind? I'll tell you what's on my mind.
I just want us as believers to not try to conform to a standard or a view because it could translate over to how we do things in our day-to-day life. Don't start paying attention. I got to post at this time. I got to do it this way. Like, no, it's okay if the rest of the world doesn't like certain things. I mean, Jesus said like when he's praying like to the Father and talking about his disciples, like they gonna hate you because they hated me for like regarding the world. Yeah. So I'm just think about that too. Don't get caught up in all these algorithms and to where it motivates you now to go off of that. Understand your standard. Understand that there's something that watches you and pays attention to what you're doing outside of that, and continue to work, continue to good fight. If there's something that could be motivating and could be helpful to the kingdom of God, utilize it if you can or if you want to, and continue to push Christ, man, as much as we can, and the lifestyle. Engage people. Right. They need this information. They need this truth. Any other thoughts, Pastor?
No, man, that was word. That's what we're doing right now.
Any other thoughts, Pastor? He's 50 plus years old and he uses social media. He's engaging people. I love to see it, man. I love to see it, Steve. Love to see it, man. So
y'all have a great evening. God bless you.
God bless. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Real Talk. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure that you comment on the video. Make sure that you share this video. And there's one more thing that they have to do.
Man, I don't remember. Just do what he says, all right?
Make sure you go out and get one new subscriber to the channel.
That's it.
One more new subscriber to the channel. All right? And make sure that they click that notification bell. We'll see you next week.
God bless.
God bless.